They climbed the ladders and got to this place looking so special. Now, I think, graduates, that this is not something that you accomplished on your own. I think there were many plaza hops, many journeys that your parents had, or whoever was looking at helping you get ready would be with you. So, give them a big hand. Flying high tonight. In fact, when I read the memories of the students, would you believe that one of the young people says that for his ambition in life, he's going to go to the moon, and then, when he comes back, he is just going to lead a quiet life. I think that another one that stated, the part that made me realize that they are reaching the thinking stage about their futures, because one said, I have come to the time of my life when I have to start making decisions. To the young lady who wants to be the counselor, go for it. You'll make a great one. And the one that made me really think of the blend of joy and sadness that the special graduation brings is the one that stated, I've only just begun. The best is yet to come. So I say tonight, you celebrate the closing of a chapter and you look forward to a new one, starting wherever you go. Congratulations. Now I'm going to call upon Mr. McKillop to introduce the guest speaker.
Relax. I've been with these kids for the last week every day, and they're flying pretty high this afternoon, about 3 o'clock, but you look beautiful, as Mrs. Stevenson just said. Ladies and gentlemen, graduates, it is indeed an honor to be asked to introduce our guest speaker tonight, Mr. Lionel Bryant. I thought of this over the last few days as to how I would introduce him, and so usually we have to see how we first met the person. And the first time I met Lionel was, would you believe, 25 years ago on a hot summer night at the end of a broom handle. Now you may wonder what I mean by a broom handle, so maybe I should explain Lionel. I don't know. I don't think you'll mind tonight, because I said I was going to get even with him sometime. It was, as I said, it was a hot summer night, and I was in my first year of teaching, and I was busily taking a summer course, and I was studying in my apartment. And my wife was sitting across the room, quietly playing the piano. And I emphasize the word quietly. And after a few minutes, we hear this tap, 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 tap. Well, it was a relatively brand new building. And we figured it was somebody downstairs hanging up a picture. Or construction guys. So I went back to my studies, and she went back to her piano playing, and a few minutes later, tap, 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 and the tempo picked up, tap, 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 tap. And I put my pen down, I hear the balcony door open up. So I wandered over to our balcony door, and I hear this voice down there going, "Hey, you up there!" And pardon, what's going on here? And I look down off my balcony, and here's this guy with a pair of cutoffs on, a tank top, with a broom handle in his hand. "Tell your wife to stop playing that piano. I'm trying to study for a university exam so I can get my degree." That's how I met Lionel.
I thought he was married to Jerry Lee Lewis.
Ladies and gentlemen, Lionel began his teaching career in 1961, 62, in a one-room schoolhouse, type of thing we don't see anymore, way down near Kingston there at Napanee. 1962 to 1966, he came to the old Brampton Public School Board at that time and taught grades 5 to grade 8 at Helen Wilson School. 1966 to 69, this is when I really started to get to know Lionel because he was always wanting me to keep his kids for shop a little longer. He was vice principal over at Agnes Taylor Public School in Brampton. 1969 to 1972, he was here at Caledon as vice principal. And he not only had this school, but he had Inglewood, Caledon East, the Old Village School to also maintain and look after. Then he left us in 1972 through to 1974. He went away down to South End and taught Tommy Hunter's kids and all the rest of those people down there at Owenwood Public School. Then he came back to another school that I had been at, Winston Churchill, 1974 to 1980. 1980 to tonight, he has been at Caledon Central Public School as our principal. The accomplishments that this man has made are unbelievable, and the accomplishments that he's made at this school speak for themselves over the last 10 years. Ladies and gentlemen, it was mentioned a week and a half ago at our farewell night for Lionel. 2 or 3 times I heard it mentioned that Lionel has a great concern for all of his students. And it doesn't matter what color, what race or creed they are, or it doesn't matter what name. That word student stands out. And it was also mentioned that night that he did not find out until the second last day that he was coming here to this school to be principal. I'd like to tell you another little story that maybe will tie all this together and re-emphasize his love and concern for that word student. It was a night approximately, it was 10 years ago in early June. And I was at a baseball game down in beautiful downtown Inglewood, sitting on the bleachers. And my son and Lionel's son Paul were both on the same team. Lionel and Diane arrived to cheer on the team, late as usual, Lionel. And we sit, chit-chat for a while, the girl talk, and Lionel and I were talking away, and after a couple of minutes he did his usual routine. He put his hand on my knee and said, "Hey, good buddy, guess what?" I said, "What's that?" He said, "I've been asked to come to Caledon Central as principal." And I said, "Right on, something to that effect. Welcome aboard, you make a good captain of the ship," and so forth. And I said, "You'll be closer to home, you won't have to drive so far, save the gas mileage, you'll be out of the country." And Lionel sat there and he said, "Yeah, but Al, got a problem." I said, "What's that?" And he said, "I would have to have my own 3 children in the school." He said, "I don't know if I can handle that." And I said, so what? And we dickered back and forth for a couple of minutes, and I can still see this conversation. And I can remember I said something to the effect, I said, "Lionel, are you a Jekyll and a Hyde? Do you have one personality at home and another personality at school?" And I can remember he looked at me and said, I don't think I do. And I said, "All right, you become principal of the school, your 3 kids go to our school." And I think he was asking me for advice because at that time, I think I was the only staff member that had my own children in the school. And I can remember saying to him, "You're not a Jekyll and a Hyde." I said, "You're going to have Paul Bryan, student. Scott Bryan, student. Suzanne Bryan, student. I said, take away Paul, take away Scott, and take away Suzanne, and take away that last name, Brian. What have you got? Student. Ladies and gentlemen, the rest of the story is history. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Lionel Brian.
Kind of a very strange evening for me tonight, and I've been around talking to people. What kind of message did I give you? Probably you'll be my last grade 8 graduating class I'll ever speak to. I would imagine that my next school will be my last school before I retire. So this is a very, very, very special evening to me. Yes, and Ellen and I go back a long time, 25 years or more. And all of these people out here have become very, very close to me. You know, I kind of feel funny in a way because you're the smallest grade 8 class that's ever gone up in Calgary Central. You're only, what, 101? Usually we send out 150 each year. There was one, I guess, low peak. I don't know. We can trace it back 13, 14 years. Maybe people weren't as romantic at that time. Next year, we'll be back up to 150, and the next year beyond that, it'll be 160. So, I don't know what happened 13, 14 years ago. What they didn't produce in number, though, they produced in quality. And that's what I'm going to talk about tonight, is you and some messages that I could bring to you. I don't know where to start. I have a little bit of a speech here. I probably won't look at it too much because I feel someone like you. I've got a terrible separation anxiety feeling right now. You know what separation anxiety is? Because I'm a psych major. Well, it's a time when you feel detached from something or something causes you to be detached. And usually it's in a sudden, jerky, severing kind of way. And you start feeling these pains, these thrusts that hurt your body. And I'm feeling separation anxiety right now, and I know that you are. Because some of you are sitting there saying, I've been 10 years at Caledon Central, 9 years at Caledon Central, I don't want to go on. I know there's that high school out there, but boy, I've heard some things about high school. I know a kid that was at Caledon last year, he got to high school in Mayfield this year, he was beaten up twice in a week because he was a nervy little twin. Do I want to go to a school like that? Is that going to happen to me? Gee, all these people around here know me. I'm a grade 8. I go down with those little kindergarten kids, and they look up to me and they respect me. And now I'm going to go, and there are these big 5 years, or I like to still call them grade 13ers. There are these big guys up there, and they're going to look at me like I'm just a little fish. Is that what I want to go to? That adds to the separation anxiety. Your mothers and dads get it. It reverses. It's not just you that's feeling that way. Mrs. Stevens and I have been feeling it for the last couple of weeks, and every time we have a ceremony honoring us, it just adds to it. They're really nice, those ceremonies, but it makes me feel guilty about leaving. It makes Mrs. Stevenson feel guilty. So don't worry about your feelings. You know, you're going to feel that, and you're going to feel it over and over again. This is just the real start of it. For some of you, like Doug Jolly, I know Doug's moving, he's probably feeling a double separation anxiety. He's going to be going off to another community. Some of you are going to private school. You're going to feel that. Some of you are going to Orangeville. Some are going to Mayfield. You're going to miss your friends. And there's nothing wrong with feeling that kind of sadness in you. And probably the one who says, boy, I can't wait to get out of this dumpy place, and they're the most vociferous and the most verbal about it, they're the ones that are probably going to miss it the most. So part of my speech was designed to, I guess, to help you come to grips with separation anxiety. You'll hear lots about it, in years to come, and you'll feel it over and over again. You'll feel it when you leave Mayfield, you'll feel it when you leave your university, you'll feel it when you leave your first job, you'll feel it when you get your first apartment. There's always a strong reason why you feel it is because you love the place that you're in right now. Well, I'm sorry they didn't get Tommy Hunter. I'm sorry they didn't get the guy from Guns N' Roses or somebody like that to come and speak to you, some celebrity. So you'll have to put up with me and probably my last speech to you, except for announcements tomorrow morning. I'm going to play a little mind game with you, because I love to play mind games with people. I was sitting there on the weekend, I was reading the paper, and you have to tie all these things in together for me. 2 men sought, as officer shot in drug arrest. Dollar jitters, Wilson urges calm. I got a mortgage coming up, and I'm really worried about that one. Cottage country is no place to burn Metro's garbage. I highlighted, women dying sooner of AIDS, study finds. That's an amazing one. Women die sooner of AIDS. 6 million Chinese census takers ready to go. Most countries don't have 6 million people. They've got 6 million people just to go up and count the population because they have 1.1 billion Chinese. Here's another good one. I really like this. Now, you never guess why I got this. I'm not against Chrysler products, even though I'd probably never own another one. Sundance, $12,695. Brand new Voyager, $1699. I don't know why they're going to explain that. Here's one I really like. Kids and sex. I'm not saying to, I'm just saying I'm reading an article, Mrs. Lasses. Don't get all nervous about this one. Sex education methods aren't working. We're calling for a whole new approach to teaching. That's not the parents saying that to us. That's our own Ministry of Education saying you're not doing the job you should be doing. Next article down. A new voice for Jewish women. A new voice for all women. Abortion. Pro-choice. Pro-life. Do you want to be my paper girl? Your last official act? Here's one that really bothered me. Meech Lake is dead. Oh, there's a couple of them here that I still need. Now, you tying all these together? Because there's a message coming out of all of this. Maybe your parents aren't getting it, but here's one. I like this one. Mature, well-organized person to work in a sales support area with a busy office located in Concord. Individual must have excellent communication skills, ability to work with a minimum supervision, computer. In fact, this whole page is nothing but people. If you want a job, you got to have this computer training. I think I've covered them all. Now, Paula, you're one of the brightest young girls I've ever known. Oh, here's one too. Forum focuses on seniors housing. Will you tie all of those into a message for me, Paula? What's it all about? Stump? Okay, neither can I. That's why I'm going home. I just thought I'd show you how to read the newspaper. As I tell Catherine, Ford Catherine, one of the graduates wants to be a lawyer. And I found out 2 years ago she didn't read the newspaper. Were you, Catherine? Are you reading the newspaper now?
But I don't want to be a lawyer.
Oh, whatever it was. Your dad's a lawyer. You don't want to be a lawyer?
Of course you want to be a lawyer.
Calvin, talk to that girl. Well, I talked about Meech. I talked about, one I missed was Sunday shopping. Did you realize the Supreme Court has overturned Sunday shopping laws? AIDS, finances, drugs, pollution, sex, women's roles, abortion. Well, there are 3 things that I'm going to talk to you tonight about. Number 1 is conquering pessimism. Number 2 is my advice to you for the future. And I guess number 3 is maintaining relationships. And all of those things have to tie into it. Every time I pick up a newspaper, every time I turn on a television, you are confronted with nothing but global pessimism. You realize that? Every one of those articles wasn't a let's give somebody a pat on the back kind of thing. Here's a problem. The problems here, the problems there, starvation. You can name them. Now you people have been in a cocoon. You have been protected for the last 14 years. Because every night you went home, there was supper. You wanted that new outfit? How many of you bought it? You wanted that new suit? How many of you bought it? You've been protected by kind, loving parents. But you're entering out of that age. You're now going into what I refer to as the pessimistic age, the age of high school and the age of university. And you're going to be constantly bombarded with pessimistic messages. When you look at the world, you'll see nothing but wars, hostage crisis, countries overturned, even Mother Russia falling apart at the seams, starvation. At our own level, already we're talking of separation and the doom and gloom message because Leaping Beach Lake failed. Is that going to be on your horizon by the time you're entering high school? Unemployment, inflation. My son's seriously thinking about, getting married one day. And I said, where are you going to live, Paul? You got $300,000 to move into Cali. $300,000? He says, I only make $500 a week part-time. Got unemployment problems. You've got problems at the schools, everywhere. So what's going to happen? Well, let me give you my little philosophy in all of this. You're going to get used to this. And you're going to get bombarded with it. But it's like anything else. You have to adjust to it. And so, whenever you start hearing these things and you say, why should I go to high school? Why should I go to college to get a job? You're going to have to say, I'm going to recognize that message for what it is. And if you don't, you're going to be doomed. There'll be a lot of things coming at you that are going to sound so negative that you don't know what you're going to do. And sometimes when kids go to suicide and things like that, they see no way out. What can I do about it? Learn it for what it is. Let me tell you something. Canada was here yesterday. Canada was here, or is here today. It'll be here tomorrow. Caledon was here yesterday. Caledon will be here today, and it'll be here tomorrow. It'll be there. Don't let it get you down. Don't let it worry you so much. But you will be bombarded with it, believe me. And what you've got to do is overcome that. And if anything, I would say, become proactive. Join things like Greenpeace if you're worried about the environment. If you think, I want to be a secretary, then get out and do some typing skills in the summer. And if you want a job, working at a car place, then go out and get yourself a small motor and work on it. Become proactive. Do something about it. Just don't sit down. Because that cocoon has broken. After September the 4th, 1990, you are in the adult world. It's all over. Right? So you've got to start thinking along those lines. So that's my first message to you. And I'm going to give you some future advice. At a recent symposium, they had 42 of the world's top experts. And every year they have this on futurism. And I'm a great believer in futurism. They're saying that the 80s and the 90s are going to be the next revolution, industrial kind of revolution, except it's going to be, of course, the silicone revolution, and it's already happening. That article I showed you in the newspaper, I can't think of a job, even farming anymore, where you don't use a computer. So you've got to get involved with that. In fact, I see some PTO members sitting out here, Ruth Colburn sitting there. 5 years ago, we bent over backwards to try and get 1464 computers for the classrooms. 5 years ago, when those things are already so out of date, we're thinking of pitching them out. 5 years. They now have computers that you can put on your wrist that are stronger, more capabilities than the 64. I've got a computer in the office, I can put every record on the school on it, and still have room to put 3 more schools on it. And that's just the start, and that one's already out of date. So boy, oh boy, whatever you do, start doing something on computers and really get involved with it. We're going to require some vocationally trained people, because some of those jobs are going to disappear. I was talking to Cliff. Where's Cliff Colbert? Is he here tonight, Cliff? Where are you hiding, Cliff? Cliff is embarking. Cliff is dean at Sheridan College, and they're already in with the government on working on a plan where they train people, and they're going to come out with 4 or 5 different vocational types of training: pipe fitting, electronics, whatever. What are the other ones, Cliff? Tool and die. And a person will go there and he'll take a course, and it's designed to get him into business. He takes those courses and goes out. The one thing you have to know about when you're going on in the future is you better get ready for some retraining. And that's going to be the most important thing. Not only teachers, not only mothers, You say, well, what does a mother have to do? There's only one way you can change a diaper. Do you realize the amount of retraining there is for mothers? I had to retrain my mom how to use a microwave. I had to retrain her on some of the things that come in. Everybody's going to get used. And if you want to have an MCI telephone on your desk that records messages, there's a lot of retraining. Everybody's going to retrain. And if you think you're going to be a teacher, if you think you're going to be a draftsman, you think you're going to be an architect, you think you're going to be a doctor, a lawyer, a nurse, I don't care what it is, or even work at Becker's, you better think I better have another job behind that because I'm going to retrain in the next 20 years. And that's going to be the rule. And if you want to work, that's what will happen. Of course, they say there's going to be some people who are just going to pay to stay home. That's what these futurists said, that the job market won't be there, so it's going to be a very competitive kind of base. So you guys better get out and get some skills, stay in school. Education is going to be your greatest thing. And it's not education at Caledon Central, it's not education at, we'll say U of T. The education will probably come from the workforce itself. So if you're working on the bottling line at Labatt's Breweries, they'll probably train you for the new kind of bottling line at Labatt's Breweries. And if you're working for Bell Telephone, they'll probably train you in their way. And every time something new comes along, I'm sure they would train you. Right, Brian? There will be always constant retraining. Here's some good news about the future, what they're saying. Guess what? You're only going to work 24 hours a week by the year 2000. 24 hours a week. Teachers only work 20 hours a week now. What do they cut us down to if we have to do that? You're going to have a lot more leisure time. Now, with leisure time, then, comes my third message to you. And that's about relationships. How many know the song, Another Brick in the Wall by Pink Floyd? That's one of my favorite songs. I got the video at home. Won't tell anybody we pirated it. And the song goes, just another brick in the wall. Do you know bricks in the wall, why I'm using that as an analogy? Because the minute you start a relationship with somebody, mine with Mr. Tomlinson as a vice principal, sometimes people build little bricks between you, and a wall comes up. And they even start at junior kindergarten. And I have some parents come into me at junior kindergarten and say, oh, Mr. Brian, he's such a lovely kid, but he's such a dirty little devil at home. And I can't get him to do this, and I can't get him to do that. And right away, you can see the bricks starting between that mother and that, that child, or that father and that child. And those bricks at that time are invisible. And they're pretty well invisible, right up to about the time they're in grade 6 or 7. But the wall is there and you don't see it. By the time they're in grade 8, the bricks are a little more discernible and you start to see them. They start to cloud in. And I wonder how many disputes there were with Mom and Dad over the outfit you selected for graduation tonight. I want a $500 dress. Mom says, no way. I would say, hey, you're going to have, $30 dress, something that you can wear that's practical. I want a limo to drive me to Caledon Central. No. I want to stay out late and go to parties without your supervision. And all those little things are starting to create a wall between you and your parents. And that's natural, though. The walls come up. But you got to be careful how you build them. So here's my final bit of advice to you. And take it for what it's worth from a guy who knows. Don't do anything that destroys your relationship with your mom, your dad, your brothers and sisters, and your family. Moms and dads have to be coaches. And when you get to grade 11, 12, and 13, you're the one that's in the driver's seat. There is no way I can tell my kids, take this course, take that course, drop this, do this. I'll talk with them about it, but they're the ones that make the decision. Unless it's so stupidly wrong, there's nothing much I can do about it. And you have to listen to them, but you always remember that you're there and you're the one controlling your destiny. And if you make a big fuss about it, or if the parents get too hot about it, that wall gets thicker, it gets wider, it gets heavier, and sometimes it never comes down. The most important thing is not your job in life. I guess not whether you drive a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, your possession, but the relationship you have with your mom and dad. Whether it's mom and dad separated, because we get a lot of people coming in now, things like that. You've got to maintain that relationship. And if you don't, you might as well have not gone to school or got a good job. Your special group, thanks for 9, 10, 2, 3, or however long you've been here, special years to me. I guess I could just sum it up by saying, take care of your friends, take care of your parents, and finally, take care of yourself in the years ahead. Thank you.
Making our years at Caledon very special. We have enjoyed having you as our principal, and we are grateful for the many things you brought to our school. Your time and effort in various activities was also greatly appreciated. You will be dearly missed, and we wish you good luck next year at Ridgeview. I am also very happy to present to you this gift on behalf of the students.
Thank you, Mrs. Stevenson. Upon arriving to school this evening and seeing that my name was first as a presenter, I immediately had a bout of separation speech anxiety. It gives me great pleasure to present the Special Education Award this evening. The Special Education Award is presented to the best all-around student who attended the withdrawal classes or was a member of the ISLD class. This person has demonstrated excellent work ethics throughout the year, has possessed a great positive attitude, and has displayed mature behavior, was extremely trustworthy, and a very reliable student. This person also worked well with both staff and peers alike. This individual also achieved passing marks in all 3 marking periods in her Rotary subjects. It has been my extreme pleasure to have been associated with this individual for the last 2 years. I'm very proud to present this award to Cheryl Lewis.
The next award is the Best All-Around Student from each grade 8 class, sponsored by the Belfountain Rockside Women's Institute. The student must work to the full potential to be able to have the award, be helpful towards others, involved in extracurricular activities, and can work with both peer group and adults. I call upon Mrs. Kirk to present the award. Would you please hold your applause this time until all the members are recognized.
On behalf of Belfountain Women's Institute, it gives me great pleasure to present these awards to these worthy students. And the first name I would call on from room number 81, Nicholas Cox. And classroom 82 is Jamie Laskus. Classroom 83 is April Forsyth. And I see by the walls and our programs that April is also an artist. And last but not least is Jennifer Daw.
Thank you, Mrs. Kirk. The Science Award is sponsored by the Coburn family. It is an award that is given to the grade 8 student who achieved the highest standing in science combined with a positive attitude, active participation, and a strong interest in science. This student clearly showed it all. I call upon Mrs. Coburn.
We present this award each year in memory of my father, who lived in this community all his life and appropriately enough started to Caledon Public School in September of 1890. So there's a 100-year span there, and obviously by the size of this class, it's quite an accomplishment to come out on top in this science award. So I'd like to call Nicola Cox. And Alan Phillip will back me up on this. About 10 years ago, I had met Lionel Bryan at a baseball game in Bellefontaine. Lionel's a very avid fan. I don't know whether any of you have seen him cheer at a baseball game, but it's an experience. And I heard that he was coming to be principal of Caledon School, and I phoned Al in a blank panic, and I said, surely not. Is this guy like this at school? And Al said, no, he's just great. And I said, well, I don't know. Maybe I feel a little sorry for these kids. I don't know. But I have to make a confession tonight that after 10 years, I feel sorry for the kids in the future who won't have the experience that Lionel has given these kids over the years.
The Math, Science, and Computer Award is given to the girl who shows promise and interest in leadership in math, science, and computers. It is sponsored by the Orangeville and District University Women's Club. And call upon Ms. Pearson, please.
It's the hope of the University Women's Club that this award will encourage girls to go on in these fields where they're sorely underrepresented. And whether the winner goes on in math, science, computers, or law, I hope she has a good future. The winner is Catherine Ford.
The Math, Science, and Computer Award given to the boy who shows this promise, interest, and leadership in math, science, and computers is sponsored by Chris Blaymyers, and I call upon Mr. Blaymyers to present this award.
The Math, Science, Computer Award is given to an obvious choice. No other student was able to match him in either math or science. An outstanding job for this young man. His name is Duncan Forrester.
The History and Geography Award is sponsored by the Parent Teachers Organization. It is given to the student who shows the greatest interest and achievement in these fields. Mrs. Russell will present the award.
Good evening. I would like to compliment the individual who has shown the most promise in the area of history and geography in this year of 1990. And the winner is Nicola Cox.
you brought a big shopping bag. The French Award is sponsored by the Calvin Community School Association. I call upon Mrs. Casey.
Choosing the French top students was very difficult. We had a lot of French students in grade 8 and some who aren't quite as good as others. It's okay. Mr. Stum and I had a long discussion on who we thought should get it, and we couldn't make up our minds, so we split it in two. And it gives me great pleasure to say bonne chance to both of these ladies, Jamie Parada and Christy Panko.
Jamie Parada as our pianist earlier on. The Math Award is sponsored by the Royal Bank, and Mr. Braemars will present the award.
Okay, again, this was a hands-down award, except there was one young lady that was very, very close, up in the 90% range. But the Math Award goes to the student who has achieved the highest percentage I've ever given for the third term to any student. He achieved a 97% average. It goes to Duncan Forrester.
Sportsmanship Award is sponsored by the Calvin Village Fitness Club. This award is given to a student who displays within the physical education program good sportsmanship. It doesn't always mean that this person has been in all the different teams and that, but they have played their part well and been good sportsmen. I call upon Mrs. Herder to present the award.
Congratulations to Christine Irwin and Ms. And to the male recipient, John Bryan.
Family Studies Award is sponsored by the Alton Women's Institute. The criteria is a cooperative student participating enthusiastically within the crafts, project work, food and nutrition, and Mrs. Florence Martin will present the award.
Pleasure to present the Family Studies Award to Sally Cruther.
The Industrial Arts Award is sponsored by Al McKillop. Mr. McKillop will make the presentation.
Thank you very much. Mr. Bryan mentioned earlier that just about every subject in school is concerned with computers, but you still have to know what a screwdriver is to fix a computer. Ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great honor to call upon a student that's probably going to go a long way in the computer business and technology, if you want to call it that, Miss Nicole Sturger.
The Music Award is sponsored by the Student Council. Mr. Higginbottom will make the presentation.
This award is given for the student, or to the student rather, who combines the best marks in either instrumental or vocal music with the most enthusiasm for the subject. And again, it was a difficult choice to make this year, but I'm happy to say that the winner is Heather Moffat.
The Art Award is sponsored by the Student Council as well. Now, I'm really pleased to note that our Student Council is active in so many ways within the school. They have presented things to the library, they have presented things to other students within the school, and they have ownership in the awards as well. Mrs. Morelli will present this award.
To win the Art Award, the successful candidate must display the following qualities. Excellence in their work, showing both imagination and creativity, showing consideration for others, a student who helps willingly, including cleanup in the art room, a student who shows interest in various fields of art, and lastly, one who shows steady effort. It was a hard decision to make because there's quite a few very capable students in grade 8. I call upon Jamie Nevin.
The Optimist Award is sponsored by the Calvin Optimist Club to a student who best portrays the Optimist creed. Mrs. Pello makes the presentation.
I'm pleased to be able to represent the Optimist Club of Caledon tonight and to present this award to a student whose optimism shines. He's the person who always has a smile for everyone, who even receives fan mail from people in grade 3. This is the person who will enter into everything with great enthusiasm, sure that it will have a happy outcome and work out well. This is the person who faces Mr. Bryan's problems of the world with a positive outlook. In the words of the old story, if this person were presented with a room full of manure, they would take their shovel and start looking for the pony. I'd ask Sean Ennis to come forward.
The Top Female Athlete Award is sponsored again by the Student Council, and Mrs. Bullock will present this award.
To be chosen Female Athlete of the Year, a female student must have outstanding athletic ability, an excellent attitude toward athletics, and participate on most school teams. As many of the grade 8 girls were super athletes and participants this year, the choice was especially difficult. Female Athlete of 1990 is April Forsyth.
Male Athlete Award is sponsored as well by the Student Council. Mr. Rose will make the presentation.
The qualities of the top female athlete are exactly the same as the qualities of the top female athlete of the year. This student is without doubt one of the finest athletes, male athletes, to come out of this school. I would like to present this award to Bill Triffon.
The next people to young students to be recognized are the students on the honor roll. And the award is sponsored by the Calvin Community School. Mr. Howard will present the students.
Getting to be a mighty familiar sound around here. Ladies and gentlemen, within the students seated before you tonight reside an expanding range of talents. There are those who can jump higher, run faster, and throw further. There are those who can charm their friends, and those who can even charm their enemies. There are those who always complete their homework, and those who can do their homework while listening to the radio, talking on the phone, scanning the TV. There are those who can speak well, those who can speak well and be heard, and those who are always heard yet rarely speak. And finally, there is one graduate seated here who can eat more pizza than most humans would judge possible. Each of them is unique. Each of them have talents which are admired and dark strengths which are not, and a whole range of abilities between. Of the 101 students seated here, there is a special group with a rare and radiant gift. Up until now, it has been a talent for which they are frequently scorned by their friends and praised by their parents. You all know how it is. This is the talent which is most rigorously tested by humans, probably because it is the only talent which is uniquely human. Their minds can dance along the thin lines between matter and energy, substance and shadows, between things and their essence, and capture the possibilities. They can build the cleaner idea. Now that our 200-year unbridled industrial party must come to an end, we must find ways to begin the cleanup. For this reason, the torch is being passed to a new generation of problem solvers. And in all the futures rushing away from this single moment, there is not one which cannot be touched by the flame. To paraphrase a great American president, ask not what your country can do for you. Ask what you can do for the fate of the earth. Touch the flame. Its moment and the future are yours. At this time, I would ask these students to stand when they hear their names called, to turn and face the audience, and to remain standing until the applause ends. I would ask you to hold your applause until all the names are read. As a tribute to their achievement, their names will be inscribed on an honor plaque donated by the community school and displayed in the foyer. Christy Panko, Catherine Ford, Tricia Hill, Christine Irwin, Doug Jolly, Jamie Laskus, Heather Moffat, April Forsyth, Shara Armstrong, Nicola Cox, and Jamie Parada. Ladies and gentlemen, take wing with these flamethrowers.
Ruth mentioned that 100 years have passed since your father was involved with the school. Almost 50 years have passed since I graduated from Caledon Village School. And I think it was 3 or 4. Grown quite a bit. It gives me a great deal of pleasure to present this award to Joy.
The Female Academic Award is sponsored by the Caledon Women's Institute. I call upon Mrs. Ruth Spears to present the award.
On behalf of the Caledon Women's Institute, it gives me great pleasure to call Tricia Hill.
The Best Overall Grade 8 Student Award is sponsored by the Rose Hill Institute. This student shows a scholarship to the greatest potential, is involved in extracurricular activities, and helpful towards others. I call upon Mrs. Audrey Black to present this award.
It gives me great pleasure to present to Mark Brooks.
Well, grade 8, I know that what happens to people if they keep things too long and you don't get dance time. So we're now up to the diploma time. Now the presentation of diplomas will be given by the homeroom teacher. Please hold your applause until all the students have been named in each class. The first class will be Class 81, Mr. Petula.
I would first of all like to extend my personal congratulations to the graduates of 1989-1990. I've only had a short 10 months to get to know these students, but became aware very quickly of their talents, their courtesy, their point of view, and above all, their sense of humor. Set your goals high because you have the ability to reach them. I also had the pleasure of getting to know a much smaller group of students, 11 in number. 8 won my home class. What can I say? 11 students. First of all, I was needled by my fellow staff members at the beginning of the year, wondering why, being a new staff member, I was so fortunate to have such a select group. It's simple. I bribed the principal. While I'm on the topic of talent, a finer bunch you couldn't pick. Some excelled in sports, school team members, house lady. Others in academics, 3 students on the honor roll. 1 student excelled at Students' Council, and we thank her for that. Individual talent, 4 of the 11 students accepted into Mayfield School of the Arts. All had individual strengths like creativity, their bursts in public speaking, a desire to learn new things, and above all, a fresh and lively opinion. One that I maybe not always agreed with, but they presented it in such a manner that they usually got their way. I can understand how proud your parents are of all of you, because tonight I feel that same pride. Sometimes in talking to me, a few would let a slip of their tongue go by and call me Dad. It's true. Well, from the other dad in your lives, ladies and gentlemen, it gives me great pleasure to introduce the graduates of 8-1. As I call your name, would you please come forward? Charlotte Armstrong. John Blythe. Nicola Cox. Vanessa Dragani. Carrie Giles. Chris Greenwood. Jay Hayashi. Kelly Mariano. Holly Marshall. Jamie Parada. Malcolm Schmidt. And Cheryl Lewis.
From the PTO as a remembrance of this evening. Now, parents, if you want to get a picture, you can move up closer and wait until your special person comes by. The next class is class 82, Mr. Blaymart.
Well, Mr. Petrula had the luck of having 11 grade 8 students that were outstanding and terrific to teach. But I didn't give Mr. Bryan any money, didn't bribe him at all. I got 31 of them, so I guess I must be just a little better treated. We've heard all the cliches, but somehow they always seem to apply at these kind of nights. I had 31 students that I'm going to miss. They were great. We had a lot of great times together, a lot of serious discussions sometimes. And they taught me a lot. I just hope I taught them something. I can call on their names now.
Going the wrong way.
Peter Abramowitz. One every crowd. Ray Adams. David Barnes, Richard Barnhouse, Lori Brown, Richard Burnett, Jeremy Crawford, Sally Crowther, Dustin Dinoff, things keep slipping down here. Paula Forbes, Catherine Ford, Duncan Forster, Rebecca Fraser, Robin Herder, I'd also like to mention about Tricia Hill a little extra, and that's that she also won the Science Fair Award that was presented on Friday, and a very special commendation to her because she became first in the Peel Regional Science Fair for the Junior Division, so an outstanding. Jason Inwood, Christine Irwin, Doug Jolly, Jamie Laskus, Heather Moffat, James Muir, Chris Mullen, Jamie Nevitt, Christy Panko, Mona Sawatsky, Kim Schiefer, Nicole Sturgar, and Nicole Sturgar made on the honor roll for the third term. She didn't qualify for the school honor roll, but to make it just on the third term shows what an outstanding student she was. Darren Swackhammer, Kyle Turner, Archie Vandersloot, number 31, Derek Weil. Class of 82 to 1990.
Mark Brooks, Glenn Bile, Brandon Clark, Ian Colburn, Don Colson, Ed Corbett, Danielle Hurley. Candace Edmonds, Tara Fitman, April Forsyth, Glenn Glassford, Aaron Holly, Sean Hines, Sean Ennis, Angie McDonald, Carrie McGuire, Amy McWilliams, Colin Mills, Jennifer Norris, Robert Reynaud, Sarah Scarlett, Travis Sharp, Victoria Shearer, Holly Snyder, Ryan Stevens, Samantha Thornton, Graham Townsend, Jamie Whitten,
Next class, 84, Mr. Howard.
I would like to call on Class 84. While they're on their way up here, I'd like to say that I guess education occurs every day and in every way. retro limousine looks terrific, has a lot of nice little toys in it, but doesn't always get you to graduation. Jennifer Carrier. Brad Croxton. Andrew Cubbage. Jennifer Dodd. Jeff Edwards. Steve Elliott. Michelle Boucher. Sylvia Gerlamo. Kim Gooderin. Stacy Goss. Drew Harvey. Donna Henry. Phil Hopkins. Tara Irving. Janice McDougall. Jason Marr. Stacy Mason. Don Newton. Roy Pedersen. Jim Salmon. Nicole Schofield. Kathy Shearer. Adam Cernick. Sarah Thornton. Bill Trithanopoulos. Shane Ward. Brad Watts. And Nicole Wilcox.
Mr. Baynard will introduce our valedictorian.
Maybe the PTO will get us an air conditioner. There's 10 students who were chosen by 11 teachers who unanimously agreed that any one of them to well represent the students at this graduation from grade 8. Then the names were presented to the students who chose their representative. The votes were close, and a most deserving young man was selected. I know how serious he took this honor and how hard he worked. I would like to let him know that he is the epitome of the message you will hear in his speech. He worked very hard all year. Ladies and gentlemen, and especially students of Caledon Central, I give you Richard Barnhouse.
I have places to go, people to see, promises to keep, and miles to go before I sleep, and miles to go before I sleep. Quoted from Pierre Trudeau, who paraphrased Robert Frost. This perhaps best expresses all of our feelings tonight at this, a celebration of the graduating class of 1990. Turning the corner and seeing a new bride to take wing. Mr. Bryan, Mr. Thompson, teachers, parents, and fellow graduates, it is a great honor and a very large challenge to have been given the privilege of speaking to you on this special night. I am the first, but not the last Barnhouse man to attend Caledon Central. I want my younger brothers to know and understand the great changes that happen when you leave the security of grade 6 and come to 7 years. I was used to a school of 100 children, and when I came to Caledon Central, it took me 6 weeks to find my uncle. I'm still waiting for the gym shorts on us that first September. Change is never easy, but change brings growth. Change is universal. As I look back on my past 2 years at Caledon Central, I learned to accept change. I learned that meeting new people makes you a more interesting person, and the new knowledge makes you hungry for more. As I grew and changed, I stopped being afraid and started looking forward to the experiences that were presented to me at this school. I know now that nothing stands still, and through our future school years, we must all be prepared to face many new challenges. In this modern world, technology makes change happen at an alarming rate. We started school almost a decade ago. The microcomputer was just an invention in someone's mind. A dish was thought of as only something you ate in. Inventions have brought untold wonder to mankind. We have now photographed the very edge of our universe. Along with the process, there have been many disasters to guide mankind since my kindergarten days. AIDS has killed many. Ethiopia has starved the population. Students just last year were massacred in Tiananmen Square. Our graduating class has no idea what new events will shape its future. But we can be sure we have many new changes to adjust to as we leave the secure halls of Caledon and go on to high school. I'm going to have to find another locker. I just hope I don't lose my junior for 5 years. I tell my brothers about the experiences they will face as they come to grade 7. They will travel on the bus for the first time. No more riding the bike at breakneck speed at 10 to 9. The bus comes at 5 to 8. They may wonder as I do, how will they ever find the right class at the right time with the right teacher? They will worry about making new friends. But friends have been one of the most important things about coming to a bigger school. I know that there are people who will always be close. Teachers, you have played a very important part in our adaptation to change over the past 2 years. Mr. Bryan was quoted in the paper saying that 96% of all Caledon students passed their grade 9 courses. This graduating class will sure test that statistic. But seriously, we owe many thanks to all those teachers who not only gave us information during school hours, but sacrificed your time during music programs, sports teams, dances, and even gave us special help. The wonderful young people we have become at Caledon Central are only the still unfinished products of very crude raw material that started many years ago in kindergarten. I'm sure we all have our personal memories of the journey from kindergarten to grade 8. I can remember that whole day when my mother hauled me into the SK room at Caledon East with me clutched her leg. I was crying. She was crying. And I do believe I spotted some tears in the teacher's eyes as she tried to find him. Funny though, next day everything was fine. Rhino in kindergarten, I get cookies and milk. It wasn't long before I made my way in the kindergarten room and into the principal's office. Jason Marr and I were lucky enough to find some rotten apple cores just as I made the day pass by. Some unforeseen force compelled us to pelt them with rotten fruit. The principal was not impressed with tears and demanded to know, how could we do such a thing? It was easy, he told me. In grade 6, our rock band unit performed for the first time. We were an immediate hit. The four of us rivaled the boys in Liverpool, but our mothers insisted that we finish public school before we got to World Tour. When I recall how angry we were at our parents, how unreasonable they seemed. Couldn't they understand what a fine idea was for us to hitchhike to Hollywood? I remember thinking that they just didn't know anything. I supposed it was their advanced age. But somehow, over the past 2 years at Calvin, all our parents have gotten a little smarter. It's true, they are still banning Hollywood, but parents, we all thank you for your love, support, and encouragement. Without you, these years would have been a lot more difficult. You have allowed us to accept more responsibility and let us handle freedom. This is so important at our age. I tell my brothers that our parents have now been doing freedom. Moms and dads out there, I'd like to leave you with these thoughts from the famous Beck Member songs. It must have been cold there in my shadow, to never have sunlight on your face. You were content to let me shine. That's your way. You always walk a step behind. I could fly higher than an eagle, but you're the wing beneath my wings. When I arrived at the strange, scary new school 2 years ago, I would never have believed that the day would come when I could feel sad about leaving. I will miss Calvin Central, but I will carry with me all I've learned here. This graduating class has faced change and learned to stretch their limitations by accepting the challenge. The lessons we have learned in grades 7 and 8 will be recalled as we face new struggles and adapt to new expectations. We leave here ready to face our future because we have the courage to do so. One of the chapters in our life is ending, but there are still many more pages still to turn. We, the graduating class of 1990, start this new decade in high school. Perhaps maybe one of us will find a cure for AIDS or cancer. Maybe it will be up to us to stop the destruction of our environment. Perhaps one of us will one day be called the damn Prime Minister. In closing, I would like to leave you with these comforting words by Jules Lewis. Remember this also, and be well persuaded of its truth. The future is not in the hands of fate, but in ours. I'm sure we will never forget all we have learned here at Calvin Central. Thank you to everyone who has helped us change and learn. You have taught us well. Now it's time to make the future our own.